what if I told you that everything you've been taught about motivation is wrong, and that the real secret to success lies in starving your brain of its biggest craving? Stay with me, because this dopamine fasting technique is about to flip your world upside down. Hey, I get it. Many of you have big dreams, burning desires, and ambitious projects you want to dive into, but the struggle to even get started feels all too real, right? It's like you're stuck in this loop of procrastination, constantly consuming things that don't serve you, be it porn, endless scrolling on screens, alcohol, sugar, or whatever else has its grip on you. Trust me, I've been there. But today, I'm going to share how I broke free from that cycle. I used to be deep into it. Porn, for one. I knew it was messing with my mind, but I couldn't stop. Same with alcohol. We all know the deal. Booze is a toxin, raising your risk for all kinds of nasty diseases. No safe level, no benefits, just a bunch of social pressure wrapped up in it. And sugar? Don't even get me started. People around you can be like, come on, just have a little, because they're dealing with their own stuff. It's that cognitive dissonance where they know something's bad but can't quit, so they drag you down too. It's like crabs in a bucket. No need for a lid because they'll keep pulling each other back down. Here's the thing with stuff like porn, alcohol, or any quick fix. They give you that dopamine hit, right? But after the high, there's this crash, leaving you even lower than before. And when you're in that low, it's like your brain's stuck in a rut, craving more just to feel okay again. You lose your grip on your emotions, on who you are. I remember chasing casual sex, not even knowing why, just riding some impulse or giving in to social pressure. But it wasn't fulfilling, not really. It was just trying to fill a void. In Buddhism, we talk a lot about the middle way, finding balance, not letting these highs and lows control you. When your dopamine is all out of whack, you lose touch with empathy, with your purpose, with the things that truly matter. But when you have that balance, you're more grounded in reality. You're able to help others find your purpose and stop putting things off because you've got something real driving you. So what's the takeaway here? It's about regulating your dopamine. I know, easier said than done, right? But think of it like this. Your brain is like a well-worn path. You've been walking the same route for years, maybe decades. Changing that doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to flip a switch and suddenly be different. But here's the good news. When you stop feeding that old path, it gets easier to forge a new one. It's all about neuroplasticity, creating a reset in your mind. And that's where a dopamine fast comes in. You give your brain a break from all these instant pleasures and it starts to heal, to change. It's like pressing pause, letting things settle, and then moving forward with more clarity, more purpose. So if you're feeling stuck, know that change is possible. It's not about perfection, but progress. And remember, you're not alone in this. We're all walking this path together. As we dive into the concept of dopamine fasting and how it can transform your path to success, I've also handpicked 4 incredible books that will take your personal development to the next level. You'll find them linked in the description below. They're game changers that have helped me on my journey, and I'm sure they'll do the same for you. When I hit that point where I realized I was seriously stuck in these habits, constantly looking for others to satisfy me, indulging in alcohol, even if just occasionally, and using cannabis, it became clear that these actions were all about chasing that dopamine high. Smoking, for example, is one of the most dopamine-driven habits out there. You light up and bam, there's that hit. Someone's playing the piano nearby, and it's like a reminder of how we're often just tuning out instead of tuning in. Take alcohol. Whenever you say you're not drinking, people start asking why. It's that classic cognitive dissonance kicking in. Deep down, folks know it's harmful, but they've faced that same pressure to conform, so they want you to join in. We're practically programmed to consume stuff. I mean, look at how pornography was introduced to so many of us. Someone's like, hey, check this out, it's great, just like they do with alcohol or cannabis. Now, don't get me wrong, cannabis itself isn't all bad. It's got legitimate medicinal uses. But smoking in general, that's harmful. And alcohol, well, when you drink to socialize, to loosen up, you're just numbing yourself. You're dodging the real work of pushing past shyness, procrastination, that inner struggle we all have to face. Think about it. You're missing a huge chance to really connect with people, to get to know yourself better, to push through that shyness. Instead, you're just numbing the friction with alcohol. Over time, alcohol messes with your nervous system, particularly the GABAergic system, which is what helps your brain relax naturally. But alcohol does it artificially, so you end up needing more and more to feel that same sense of calm. Long term, it's a slippery slope. Heavy drinkers can even get seizures because their brains become so hyperactive without alcohol that they can't quit cold turkey. It's this vicious cycle where alcohol just ramps up your anxiety instead of dealing with the root problem, avoiding the tough process of growth. That's when I decided to try a dopamine fast. I was caught in this loop of constant consumption, wanting to create, to contribute, but just stuck in that cycle. I couldn't shift from consuming all the time to actually producing, to getting into that creative flow state. And when I talk about flow, I'm talking about a spiritual state of manifestation where you let go of your ego and totally immerse yourself in what you're doing. It's this healthy detachment where you're fully committed to the act of creation, contributing to the world, and truly integrating into reality. This connection, this empathy, and social understanding, they're all tied to how we manage dopamine. Not chasing the result, but putting that energy into the process itself. I was struggling with this, really wanting to tap into that flow, but not knowing how. Around that time, I started dating this girl, and things were going great at first, but then I found myself getting obsessed, caught up in these romantic fantasies like something out of a movie. I'd be waiting anxiously for her to reply, wondering, is she the one? Could she be my soulmate? And when things didn't pan out, I was crushed. It hit me how much I'd been placing value on sex, chasing after that immediate pleasure, that intense desire that only ended up fueling my anxiety even more. So in the end, I had to take a step back and reassess. It wasn't just about quitting things cold turkey, but about really understanding why I was chasing these highs in the first place and finding a way to shift my focus, to put that energy into something more meaningful, more aligned with who I really want to be. And I think that's something we can all relate to, right? If you're ready to keep leveling up and dive deeper into content like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to go even further in supporting the channel, consider becoming a member. It's a small way to help us keep bringing you more of the content you love. It's funny how the universe works, right? The more you crave something, the more it seems to slip away from you. When you're fixated on a desire, you're setting the dopamine bar way too high. You create these expectations, your dopamine levels shoot up, and then when you finally get what you want, they crash right back down. I think a lot of us have been there. Take relationships, for example. You want someone so badly that you end up sabotaging yourself. You might get so anxious that you can't even perform, or you find yourself dealing with premature ejaculation or other issues because that overwhelming desire just fuels anxiety. And sometimes it's not even about genuine desire. It's just a habit, like casual sex that doesn't mean much, a routine that's more about the action than the connection. These habits are deeply wired into our brains. There's this part of the brain called the nigrostriatal pathway, which plays a big role in forming habits and controlling movement. So when you're caught up in something like masturbation or drinking, you might find yourself just going through the motions, repeating patterns without even understanding why. It becomes this mindless behavior where you're holding that drink or engaging in that act almost automatically without any real thought behind it. I knew my dopamine levels were out of whack, and it was messing with how I lived my life. I had this idea in my head that if I could just get what I wanted, whether it was a relationship, a certain level of success, or whatever else, then I'd finally be happy. But every time I reached that goal, it was the same story. I'd feel a brief high, and then my dopamine would crash. And if I didn't reach it, well, the crash was even harder. It's a cycle that never ends because you can't live in a constant state of desire. It's a selfish, narcissistic way to be, always trying to come out on top, but never really finding satisfaction. I couldn't connect with reality. I was missing empathy, social understanding, and the ability to create win-win situations with others. That's when I knew I had to do something drastic. a dopamine fast, specifically with pornography. I tried to quit porn before, but I kept falling back into it because I was still holding on to the habit of masturbation. My brain had been conditioned over years, starting in adolescence, where porn was introduced to me as something normal, even good. I didn't realize it was harmful. In fact, I was told it was healthy to explore. But I got sucked in deep. My first sexual experiences were tied to pornography, and that's something that sticks with you. I know this is true for a lot of young people out there. It shapes the way you interact with others, especially women, and how you see the world. But it wasn't just about porn. I was drinking alcohol, and my diet was a mess at times. These things are all connected. One habit leads to another, creating a cycle that's hard to break. In Buddhism, we might call these the deadly sins. But really, they're just extremely dopaminergic habits that keep you stuck in this loop of desire and dissatisfaction. So the only way out was to reset, to step back and strip away these habits one by one, starting with the most ingrained. It wasn't easy, but recognizing the problem was the first step. And from there, I started to find a path that wasn't just about chasing the next high, but about finding real balance, real connection with myself and the world around me. And that, my friend, is where true fulfillment starts. So I went all in on a dopamine fast, started out planning for 90 days, but it ended up being more like 100 days. During that time, I completely cut out any kind of sexual stimulation. I noticed that as I stepped away from these immediate pleasures, my brain started to recalibrate. My dopamine levels began to balance out, and it made a huge difference. You see, there are certain habits that might feel like a drag at first, like working out or taking cold showers, but they actually boost your dopamine levels in the long run. They're the kind of activities that might be tough to get into, but they pay off with sustained, steady pleasure over time. And that's the key. They help you build emotional regulation, empathy, and better social skills. It's like this. Every time you push yourself to do something you'd rather avoid, like having a dull conversation with someone who matters or treating someone kindly even when it's tough, you're training your brain to be less self-centered. You're literally rewiring your brain, strengthening the anterior cingulate cortex, the area that's crucial for maintaining healthy dopamine levels. Over time, this makes you more emotionally mature, better at creating win-win situations, and more in tune with reality. Take creating content, for example. I started making videos as a way to contribute, to give back, because let's face it, everyone's online these days. If you've got a job, there's a good chance that putting out content is worth your while. Everyone's glued to their phones anyway. Consuming content and chasing that cheap dopamine hit, why not use it to pull yourself out of unhappiness? So, during those 90 to 100 days, I wasn't exactly sure what direction I wanted to take, but I focused on myself. I got into a regular exercise routine, made sure I was going to bed early, disciplined myself in a lot of ways, and yes, I took those cold showers. Now, you don't have to do the same, but it's one way to boost your dopamine levels. It's uncomfortable, sure, but it works. There's a reason so many religions and ancient cultures have these practices of abstaining from immediate pleasures for a while to reset and regulate dopamine. It's about laying down new pathways in your brain while clearing out the old ones. I'm here with my buddy Jard. We've been putting in the work. We couldn't film earlier because of some technical issues, but that's life. We're here to work, and yeah, we're enjoying ourselves too. But we've spent days on end grinding, studying, writing scripts, recording videos. The stuff you see online might look effortless, but trust me, there's a lot that goes into it. Multiple takes, late nights. It's not about chasing that quick hit of pleasure. The real joy is in the process, not the result. Sometimes I skip going out and we don't drink much, but we genuinely enjoy this process. It's like playing a video game. We're constantly having fun, learning new things, and leveling up in real life. This whole practice of talking, sharing, and engaging with life, it's like you're gradually infusing more and more dopamine into the process, turning life into something you enjoy, like a video game. Remember how as kids we could play video games for hours, totally immersed? That's the mindset we need to bring into our daily lives, into our work. By gamifying life, by making it more playful and engaging, you start leveling up in real life, getting better and better. Eventually, you enter that flow state. I'm feeling it right now. A spiritual state where you're translating ideas from the abstract, from the world of ideas, into the tangible, physical world. In that state, you detach from your ego, you tap into empathy, and you start to sense when others need you. And for me, all of this started with that dopamine fast. It really shifted things for me, so I'm here to suggest it to you. Now, something that can be incredibly helpful during this period, regardless of your religious beliefs, is having some kind of spiritual practice. Neuroscience today backs this up. Spirituality and science are reconnecting, just as they used to be before they split apart. Medicine and spirituality were always intertwined, and now we're seeing them come back together. So whether it's concentration, meditation, practicing gratitude, some might call it prayer, these practices can have a powerful impact. Even if you're an atheist or agnostic, it doesn't matter. I'm not here to tie this too tightly to any specific religion because that can sometimes divide us, lead to dogmatism, and create judgment. And that's not what we're after here. A practice of gratitude, for instance, being thankful for what you have, is incredibly healthy. It boosts your social cognition, deepens your empathy, and helps you set clear, pure intentions for what you want in life. Maybe your intention is to correct a character flaw, or to help overcome an addiction, to give yourself more strength and courage. These are good intentions to set. And if you're not sure what to ask for, if you don't know exactly what you want, that's something worth reflecting on. A lot of people get really caught up in trying to find their purpose, like it's some hidden treasure they need to discover at all costs. But here's the thing. It's not about finding your purpose, it's about creating one. You create your purpose by entering that flow state, by bringing those ideas from the world of ideas like Plato talked about into reality. It's about integrating yourself into reality, enhancing your social cognition, and regulating your dopamine. When you do that, you move away from constantly trying to satisfy your own ego, away from that mental trap, that endless rumination I was stuck in for years. Instead, you shift into a state of love, of delivering value, of creating win-win situations, not just for others, but for yourself too. So that's the journey, from a place of constant desire and self-interest to one of purpose, empathy, and real connection. It's about taking control, not just of your habits, but of your entire mindset, and turning life into something you actively create and enjoy, just like a game. So now you know. The key to breaking free from those dopamine-driven habits and stepping into a flow state of success is right here in your hands. Dopamine fasting isn't just a technique, it's a life-changing practice that can help you build emotional resilience, deepen your empathy, and truly integrate into reality. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you for watching and joining me on this journey. If you found value in this, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more content like this, and don't keep this secret to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs it. Let's spread the word and start transforming our lives together.